Have you ever wondered how spies can master a brand new language in just a few weeks? Or memorize entire blueprints in minutes? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a specific set of learning protocols. And today, we're going to declassify those techniques and show you how to learn up to 10 times faster using methods that are, let's just say, a little different from your old high school textbook.
So let me just ask you this. What if you could soak up new skills or really complex information without all the usual grind? What if learning could feel, well, almost effortless? I know, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but this idea is actually rooted in some very real and until now, very secret training methods.
And this is where it gets really interesting. According to our source material, we're not just talking about theories here. Intelligence agencies allegedly use these exact methods to get their operatives field ready. We're talking about people who need to become fluent in a new language in a matter of weeks, not years. So this isn't about slightly better study habits. This is about hacking your brain, spy style.
Okay, let's dive right into our first technique, and honestly, it's a total game changer. Learning while you are literally asleep. Just imagine your brain downloading new information overnight, kind of like an automatic software update for your mind.
So, the official term for this is hypno-learning. It's all about getting your brain into that theta wave state. You know, that hazy, dreamlike zone right between being awake and being asleep. In that state, your conscious mind, your inner critic, it's all powered down, which makes your brain incredibly open to absorbing information subconsciously. This was reportedly a key technique the Soviets used to get their agents up to speed in record time.
So how do you actually do this? It's surprisingly easy. First, just go on YouTube and find a 4 Hz theta wave track. That 4 Hz frequency is the sweet spot for getting your brain into that super receptive state. Play it quietly while you're reviewing whatever it is you need to learn, right before you go to sleep. And now for the real spy hack. While you're in that zone, feeling super focused, just snap your fingers. This creates what we call a focus trigger.
Think of that snap as an anchor for your brain. Later on, when you're studying and you feel your mind starting to wander off, that simple finger snap acts like a conditioned reflex. It tells your brain to immediately snap back, pun intended, to that state of deep concentration. It's basically a powerful shortcut to bypass distractions and get right back in the zone.
All right, so you've got your brain learning subconsciously at night. Now let's talk about your conscious learning environment. And this next technique, it completely flips conventional wisdom on its head. Forget the quiet library. We're going to learn how to train in chaos.
This is called neuropriming. And the core idea is pretty simple. An operative in the field doesn't get to work in a silent, cozy office. Your brain doesn't actually need silence to learn. It needs to be trained to ignore distractions. By learning to focus under a little bit of manufactured pressure, you're building a kind of mental armor against the chaos of the real world.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? We're all taught to find these quiet, controlled places to study. But spies? They're trained in simulated, high-stress situations. We're talking background gunfire, sirens, total chaos. The logic is simple. If you can stay focused in that environment, a noisy coffee shop is going to feel like a piece of cake.
So here's how you can do this yourself. Start simple. While you study, just play some ambient background noise, like the sounds of a busy coffee shop. Now, here's the trick. Set an alarm for every 7 minutes. That short time forces you to consciously practice refocusing your attention. When that alarm goes off, you take a deep breath and you deliberately reset your concentration. And the key is to gradually level up. Every few days, make the background sounds a little more intense. Pretty soon, your brain will learn to just automatically filter out almost anything.
Okay, so now you can focus anywhere. But what about actually retaining all that information? We're not just going to try to improve your memory. We are going to build a mental fortress for information, a mind palace.
We're going to start with the 5-sense memory trick. Have you ever caught a whiff of something like fresh-baked cookies and you're instantly transported back to your grandmother's kitchen? That's your olfactory nerve doing its thing. It's powerfully and directly wired into your brain's memory center, and we can totally hijack this biological feature on purpose.
And the cool part is, this is incredibly simple to do. For example, chew a very specific, distinct flavor of gum, like cinnamon, only when you study a certain subject. Then, right before a test, just smell some cinnamon, and it'll help trigger that recall. You can do the same thing by pairing specific songs, or even the color of the shirt you wear, with different topics to create this whole web of powerful memory triggers.
Now for our second memory technique, the classic memory palace. This thing works because your brain is already an expert at mapping information spatially. You know that feeling when you walk into a room and you completely forget why you went in there, but the second you walk back into the first room, boom, you remember. That's your brain associating a thought with a location. We're going to weaponize that.
You can literally turn your entire home into a giant, invisible cheat sheet. For example, you could mentally stick your top 3 tasks for the day onto your bathroom mirror. Or you could associate those key formulas you need to learn with your refrigerator door. Maybe you link a phrase you need to memorize with your front doorway. Now, every single time you just move through your house, your brain is automatically refreshing these memories. It's continuous review without any effort.
Okay, on to our final individual technique. This one is all about how you structure your learning sessions for maximum, and I mean maximum, efficiency. It's called the mental download.
Now, the technical term for this is active interleaving. It sounds a little complex, but the idea is actually super simple and really powerful. Instead of studying one subject for a long, boring block of time, you study it for a short burst and then immediately switch to something completely different. This forces your brain to work harder to recall the information, and it's basically like cross-training for your mind.
And here's what that hack looks like in action. You could study, say, Spanish vocabulary for just 10 minutes. Then you immediately pivot to studying math formulas for the next 10 minutes. Then maybe you jump back to Spanish. Every single time you switch, you force your brain to ditch one set of neural pathways and fire up a completely different one. It's that process of retrieving and reloading that builds stronger, more flexible connections in your brain.
And the result is you're basically getting a 2-for-1 cognitive upgrade. You're not just learning 2 different subjects at the same time, you are fundamentally teaching your brain how to learn more efficiently. This strengthens your ability to recall information across the board, not just for the things you're studying at that moment.
So, we've covered 4 incredibly powerful individual techniques. But how do you combine them all into one cohesive system? Well, let's lay out the master plan. This is your official week-by-week mission blueprint.
Now, the real secret here is that this is a cumulative plan. You stack these skills strategically, one on top of the other. In week 1, you just focus on the foundation, mastering hypno-learning to optimize your sleep. Then, in week 2, once that's a habit, you add in neuropriming to build up your focus. Week 3, you integrate all those sensory memory hacks on top of that solid foundation of focus. And then finally, in week 4, you bring in active interleaving. By the end of 1 month, you've systematically rewired your brain to absorb information like an elite operative.
So there you have it, 4 declassified techniques to turn your brain into a high-speed learning machine. You've been given the tools, straight from the SPY training playbook. So the only question left is, what are you going to master first?